Don't worry, you're not gonna see yourselves the whole time. I'm just adjusting our camera. I usually do this before, but it's the open house.
I still can't figure out how to make this one. I'm trying to still see in the plan, and it's like, those runners on the edge of the chair. It's gonna work.
Good. We can see you.
Okay. It's a delay.
I don't like that. We're waiting for Sister.
There's your house.
Okay, that will work.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's the worst thing we gotta worry about, those bridges.
We'll make sure we get one right. There's a chair.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I agree.
Nice, we got a few more surveys.
All right, we are recording now. Good deal. All right, we'll get this Francis City Council meeting for June 8th, 2023 started at 7 o'clock and a little after. We just completed the open house.
Jeremy, did you turn your mic on?
No,
Please, I can't.
how's that? Is that one more gooder?
Probably better. Is the box on?
Yeah.
The box is on.
Okay, so we'll start with the pledge of allegiance. Sam, will you do some?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. If no one has any objection, I want to take a couple things out of order. First, I'd like to move Wendy Kerrigan, item number 4A, to the beginning, and then also the award for the sewer property 4E directly after Wendy. We had a problem there. Wendy, you're up. Thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you for having me. Where do you want me to be?
Probably here.
Okay.
And if you need to move that cord back, just kick it back a little bit. There's a cord now right on the floor. Thanks.
Oh, it's great. Okay, well, I am Wendy Kerrigan, and I work for You Serve Utah. And we are the Lieutenant Governor's Commission on Service for the state of Utah. And I'm bringing two programs to Summit and Wasatch County that have not been here until now. And they are in existence all along in the whole nation, actually. They're happening up and running and having great success in the whole nation. And all along the Wasatch Front, Utah County, Salt Lake County, Salt Lake City, Davis County, even five counties down in St. George and that area. They have over 300 volunteers down there. So great programs and really beneficial to the people that are served and the people that are serving. There are lots of health benefits, and people find purpose in serving and volunteering, and it helps the community because these volunteers are serving either in the classrooms or serving other seniors that are maybe homebound. So the program is we're looking for volunteers over age 55 that make below $79,000 a year. And then we train them, we fingerprint them, we pay them a stipend that is not taxable and does not count against Social Security or subsidized housing or anything like that. So that's a little bit about the programs. I don't know if you guys have any questions or if you have ideas for me of where I can reach that demographic. And, you know, I'm happy to come to any events or, you know, pass out flyers anywhere or be any place you guys think it would be helpful, and just here to bring these programs to you guys and help your community. So, any questions about it or comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of need in like the elderly, older veteran community for both, I guess, on the receiving end and the volunteering end with that. Is there any, I guess, has like traction been made towards that, or?
No, because I just am starting the programs here, so there has been no traction on that particular thing. I've been to senior centers and I've been to a lot of places, but nothing, I would love to find that. In fact, in Logan, it's very successful. They have a Veterans Resource Center in Logan, and that's actually where the person that does my job in Logan is stationed. She's stationed at the Veterans, she has an office there. So I would love to find that here. And where would I find veterans here? Is there an organization here, or, I mean, let me just grab my paper and pen so I can write this down.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an official American Legion chapter. I've been working just myself and a dozen or so veterans that are twice my age that are like yearning for this interaction. So maybe I'll get with you after and we can kind of maybe try to coordinate something like that.
I would love that. That would be great. I would love to reach them. And both to help and to volunteer. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, and I think doing that's kind of one and the same for them because they need something to do.
And have a purpose. And then also some might need the service, you know, might need a
For sure.
companion to help them. So that would be great. Thank you. That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, good. Like we talked before the meeting, I think there's at least some possibility that we could send out some information, even if we need to do like I said, a special newsletter or something that we could send out. I think that we could go through our systems and identify that demographic at least somewhat. And maybe we can come up with some ways to reach out to them, whether it's, like I said, a newsletter or some other way. But yeah, I mean, we'd love to help, and anything we can do to kind of assist you and get you the information or whatever we put together to do.
I think we should do the Frontier Days.
But yes, I was gonna bring that up as well. So we have our Frontier Days that we talked about over Labor Day weekend. We have some vendor booths set up here. So if you had some folks that would be willing and able to be here for that, pass on information or explain what's going on, things like that, that'd be great.
Yep.
We
I'd
can
love
provide you
to.
some space for that.
Okay, so like a booth, and maybe if I had some swag, some like, I don't know, shoehorns or
Sure, yeah.
pillboxes or something that we could pass out at that. Okay.
Sure.
Or water bottles or something.
So that's, well, Friday, Saturday, and Monday. Well, mostly Saturday and Monday is Labor Day weekend.
Okay, Saturday and Monday. Okay. Perfect, that would be wonderful. And is there a program for that? Could I maybe put a flyer in the
Yes.
program?
Yes.
And who would I reach to do that?
Katie,
Probably, yeah, Katie.
sorry, I was tallying votes.
The,
What's the?
the program for Frontier Days, she'd like to put.
Oh, yeah.
Ad in there.
Sure, send it to my email. It should be on the website, or you can call the office and I can help with that.
Okay. Perfect, thanks, these are great ideas. Any?
I just have one.
Yes.
As you stated, you're just getting started with this up in our areas.
Yes,
Do you have a specific, if we start talking to people and they wanted to volunteer right away, what areas are you looking where you need help now? Like Salt Lake?
oh, no,
Logan?
no, I'm not doing any of those areas, there's a coordinator in each of those areas.
Oh, I see.
There's actually full programs operating in those areas. We were asked to start the program in 18 counties that don't have the program So the only program I'm doing is Summit County and Wasatch County. So any volunteers, and I already have a list of seniors that need help, that need a volunteer to see them, and I have that information from the health department, from the home health nurse, and she's Camus and Francis and Oakley, Colville. Anyway, I have names already existing for all, and then all the schools want it, like any school would be willing to have the volunteers.
Okay.
It's just, I just want to put the volunteers in schools closest to where they live, so that's where we do that.
So I guess ultimately, if we have someone who's interested in volunteering, they should just contact you, is that?
Yes.
the best thing to do?
Yes. Yeah, and like I said, we background check them, we fingerprint them, we train them, we have monthly trainings for them, and, take them to lunch and have fun trainings, and it's a good camaraderie for them also to be a part of a group and meet the other volunteers, and so anyway.
So, do you do anything with the state parks at all?
No, because, well, and I'm not sure what you, like, look as far as,
Well, I know there's a couple gentlemen who work Rockport that are single men and something like that might help them.
that would be
Their
great.
wives have died and
Oh, yeah,
all their campers are like older couples.
I would
I just
love
didn't
to,
know if anything that way was.
that would be great, I would love to find them, so they're at Rockport, like at the nature center, maybe there, and find those.
Just call over there.
Okay.
Or just Rockport State Park.
Yeah,
Should be
I don't know. I can give you Charity Evangelist's number, the park manager.
Okay. Okay, perfect, I will try to.
My
find
daughter
them.
works over there. She
Oh,
works
she
with
did?
a lot of older people like that.
Oh, okay, I would love to come and talk to them,
I just
or,
like to talk to her and just,
that would be great, I would love to be in touch with them, or I'll go over and maybe your daughter can tell me when would be a good time to go. Okay. Okay, any other questions, or does it make sense? Did I explain it well?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I'm glad to see this coming here, so.
Okay, well, I really appreciate your help, and thanks for letting me tell you guys about it, and I'm excited to bring it to your community, and I think you'll be happy with the program. It's really effective in other places, so happy to have it come here. Thanks so much.
Yeah, stay in touch and let us know what we can do to help.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. We move to, the next item. The awards for the sewer bid property. Yeah, the award of the bid for the sewer property, I don't know. That was advertised in a couple of different papers, and we've received 3 bids that you have in front of you. And Scott, is there anything we need to add other than that? Okay. So we got the 3 bids are, obviously, as you see, Rodney Thompson for $33.40, Van Ward at $16.50, and John Barton at $3.50. Whoa. So now's the time for us to award the bid. I don't know why we would.
Do we just make a motion to award it? Or how do we feel about that?
Yeah, we can just make a motion to award it. I don't know why we would award it to anyone but the high bidder, but I guess.
No.
Somebody's got something going on.
I don't see a reason why either. I was just gonna make a motion that we accept the bid from Rowdy Thompson and award it to him.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, good enough. There you go. Like,
See, you pulled a little more money out of me.
well, see, there you go.
Thanks, you guys.
If you wanna just drop.
I'll stop by and drop
Yeah, we'll
one.
get the other.
What is the date that they need the final payment, or the payment by?
Contract starts July 1st, so.
Okay, before July 1st. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now we'll go back in order. All right. We'll go back to item number 1, approval of the invoice register, check register. That should be in your Dropbox. I think everything should be pretty well self-explanatory. The ID electric that you'll see, item 13, 13350, that's part of the lift station issues we were having, and also the same with, where is it, rain for rent 13358. That's also continual overflow from the the Howland lift station issues that we had. So all of those should be now resolved, and we should stop seeing those bills. Thank goodness. So if we don't have any other questions or anything, whenever you're done looking at it, not to rush you, but I'll entertain a motion when we're ready.
I looked at it earlier, and I see no reason not to make a motion to approve the check register for June.
All right, is there a second? I guess.
And the minutes?
Oh, and
Oh, and the minutes, I'm sorry, I should just include them. Hold on. Everybody, we got those in email, so you should have been able to look at those. So if there's- Do you want to include those in your motion?
yeah, oh yes, I'll include the minutes as from the month of May. May 11th.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that one.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. That's that. Good deal, thank you. Next item is public comment. We'll open up the public comment. Since there's no public, we'll close public comment. Unless Katie wants to speak as the public instead of planner.
I'm excited about the new building. This 3D rendering. It's nice to see that, and I think it's looking good.
Yeah, let's get it changes things when you see it like that.
It does, and anyway, I'm excited about the new building, not just as an employee, of course, that's gonna be nice, but as someone who lives here as well, it's I think gonna kind of set a new tone for the city, and I'm excited about kind of where we're going with it, so.
I agree. Thank you. All right. Anything else? All right, we'll close the public comment and we'll go to the public hearings. First thing on the public hearings is the accessory dwelling unit code. Ordinance number 2023-05, which should be found in your Dropbox, except minor lot level.
Same.
You guys have problems with it right now, because I was when I first logged in.
No, so everything else loaded fine, but that one
Clint is working.
says can load fine.
Okay, well, I do have it on the screen here. So
Did you get yours to load?
you guys can see that. We can bring this over in the middle of that house.
I think somebody did this on purpose.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
It's been in there, you should actually have a copy of the ordinance. if you
Yeah,
want.
mine's good.
You should have a, bring it to us.
I do here.
Ah,
Just not
okay.
in my.
Still do.
You're correct.
Why did I do that? Here are all the words. Well, anyway. Here.
I've got it.
I know, but.
Do you want to read
I've got it,
off?
I'm good.
Okay.
Can they have that?
He's done.
Oh, you guys got it?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
You did all that for nothing, Katie?
I had to make it work. I had to do
There's no
things.
picture on the
Screw it. Sorry about it.
You didn't ask that.
I know.
We definitely should.
I need to do more.
Awesome, just awesome.
Ooh, do we,
Get back.
do we have a hard copy to check register the commission?
You should have it in your file. Nope, actually, Clayton's got it.
Put your initials on that, will you guys? Both of you?
He was the first one at the table when I had it out, so I stuck it in front of him.
Oh, that's fine, I just wanna make sure we don't forget.
Okay, we're back in business. You still wanna go with this one?
I can read that.
Okay. All right, guys, so, last month we did have a code text amendment on accessory dwellings, and we have another one this month. The reason is, it all came to planning commission as one package. They decided to table a part of it. And so you're getting the part that they tabled. In the code, the original that they tabled, it said that we put a restriction in there that either the primary dwelling or the accessory dwelling had to be owner occupied. They decided to table it and to think of some other ways to discourage them being used as duplexes. And this is what we came back with, part of the reason that we have this round two. It was also good because then, from that discussion, we talked about changing the definition of accessory apartment, and it did need some work, and it wasn't on my radar, so I'm glad we looked at it. So, the changes are to update the definition of an accessory apartment. So now it will say that it means a separate living quarters occupying the same lot as the primary residence. It has its own kitchen, bathrooms, living, sleeping areas, and separate entrances. Kitchens have facilities for sanitation, sink, and cooking, oven, cooktop range. For the purpose of this title, the terms accessory apartment and accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, shall be synonymous. There are two classifications of ADUs: accessory dwellings built within the footprint of the primary dwelling, such as basement apartments, are referred to as internal ADU, IADU. Dwellings that are detached from the primary dwelling, such as those located above a detached garage or as a separate unit on grade, are referred to as external ADU. So that was one part, is just updating that definition, because I realized there was no place where we said what's an IADU and what's an EADU, and that needed to be in there. So then the other change has to do with encouraging them not to be used as duplexes. So we're using stronger language here. The IADU shall be designed in a manner that does not change the appearance of the primary dwelling as a single family dwelling, instead of minimizes any changes in it. It does not. Because minimizes, that can be really subjective. This is more strong language, I think it's more clear. And then last but not least, actually that might have been it. That was it. So those are the changes, mostly to the definition, then just making this stronger language. And that's it. Any questions? Oh, the planning commission is forwarding this with a positive recommendation. So, anyway, that's it for me.
All right. Any discussion from council, questions?
Not for me, I'm fine.
Was everyone comfortable enough that covers the definition so that we discourage that duplex idea? I mean, I think that's,
It's hit like a few times in the code now. And I did forget to mention, we had to take this out, the part that says it's subordinate in size to the primary residence, because state code actually doesn't allow us to say one has to be bigger than the other. We can't set a size relation, so we have to take that out. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, so yeah, there are a few places. One, when you have an internal accessory dwelling, you're not allowed to have two connections. So you can only have one utility connection. So that's going to discourage it. And then this, that it has to look like a primary dwelling. And there's some other ones in there too, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I feel like we're pretty well covered.
All right. If there's no other questions or concerns, I'll take a motion to pass ordinance number 2023-05.
You still open up the public hearing first.
Oh, no, I didn't, but that's a good point. I'll, open the public hearing
Remember,
on the, ADU code. Since there's no public here, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for discussion and or motion.
A motion we pass ordinance number 2023-05.
I'll second that.
All right. I don't know if this is a roll call vote or not, but we'll do it that way. The mayor is aye. Aye. Councilmember Fryer is not here. Clayton?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
And Clint?
You second it, so.
Aye.
All right. The next public hearing is for the amended budget for 2022, 2023, and for the tentative budget for 2023, 2024. Those will be two separate resolutions, but we'll do them under the same public hearing. So, first we'll go to the amended budget. And this is the budget for this fiscal year that ends on June 30th. It basically just makes those adjustments so that the general fund balances, it moves it allows us to, move any of the monies move monies into capital improvements or capital projects, things like that. So basically, it's just everything that's in that budget has now been balanced and comes to zero like it should. And it seems like there was something else that it was amended for.
So like we did a mid-year amendment. So if you look at in the very far column where it says revised,
All right, okay.
you'll be able to see if the totals have changed. We
From
revised.
original versus revised?
Yeah,
Yeah,
some of those were changed quite a bit, and some of them weren't.
but it's also where we bring into line things that we either underestimated or overestimated. So basically just adjust the budget so that it balances as is required by the code. And then we can get into detailing the tentative budget when we're done with the amendment. I can't think of anything that was like a major thing. Is there anything major that I'm missing at all?
There wasn't anything,
I looked at it,
I
anything.
mean, there were changes that were made that didn't
Of course,
revise.
yeah.
Nothing out of
And
the
I sent it to the accounting company for their stuff, and she said she was good with it.
Okay, any questions, concerns, worries, about the amended budget?
And we shouldn't be over. We were last year in the bottom, we were over a change.
Right. We've got that in mind now. And Michael, remember that our revenue does not exceed our expenditure.
Right, in the general fund, you cannot exceed past the balance. And all of those other funds, it doesn't have a balance.
Right. Okay, if there's no questions or concerns on the amendment, let's go to the tentative.
Let's do a motion on the amended first.
Okay, you want to just complete it?
Mhm.
Okay.
And so when you do it on the amended, including your motion, just say if there are any corrections by Polaris, they'll be taken care of.
Okay,
So you
Yeah,
don't
so-
meet again.
if we add that into the motion, basically that just covers if there's any minor clerical issue or something like that. If by chance there was some major correction, then that would probably need to come back, but that just will cover any minor clerical corrections that need to be made. So if that's the case, let's open the public hearing on the amended budget for 2022-2023. Since there's no public hearing, we'll close the public hearing and we'll go to the council for either further discussion or a motion on resolution number 2023-04.
I'm fine, you guys fine with it?
I'm
I'll make a motion that we approve,
To approve the amended.
the amended, budget 2023-04 with the caveat that if there's any major errors, once it's, did you say Polaris?
Once Polaris reviews it for the final.
Yeah, once Polaris reviews, our accounting firm approves it for the final, that, we can have a discussion on those later.
Yeah, so it'll just be that if there's any minor corrections that.
Yeah, any minor corrections, we're fine with. Okay.
It should be okay, because I've had her look at it.
Right.
I was had to look at it 2 or 3 times.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. And we'll also do this as a roll call. The mayor is aye. Councilmember Ferrer is absent. Clayton, Sam.
Aye.
And Clayton. Aye. And Clint.
Aye.
Right. There's that one. All right, now we'll go to the tentative budget for 2023, 2024. This one you will see some changes in it, and it's relatively the same as what you saw last time. But there are some changes. Suzanne, did we figure out the line where we're moving the money from?
For,
Where's that, from well, like for instance, the office
for
building?
like the building,
Yeah,
so if you go to the capital projects, it should show 2 million.
in the revenues lines, or on,
Let me see if I can
okay, here, so it's on page 6, in capital projects. You'll see the transfer from the general fund. And the fund balance appropriation, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and it's we capital projects, so it will show, I don't know how to explain it. It'll be set up as like a capital projects will be work in process,
Right,
so it
so,
stays in that category.
yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong on this, so the way I understand it is, basically that, the money for the building, and this needs to be really clear, so the money for the building is cold hard cash that's been saved over the last several years in order to build a building. So, Like you've probably noticed in the newsletter, it says that we're not raising taxes for the building. That's absolutely correct. There will be no tax increase for the building. That's money that's sitting in the bank that we've been setting aside for that purpose for some time. But because that's money sitting in the bank, you have to show that coming into the budget. It still stays in the bank, but you show it coming into the budget, and then as we complete the building and we start paying for that, then that money will start to come out of the bank, and that balance in the bank account will start to go down, and then it will also show as an expenditure in the budget. But so the money still stays in the bank account, gaining interest, all of those things, until such time as we actually start to spend it. So that, you'll see that is transferred in here. The other thing is a very similar situation with a plow truck, correct?
So if you look at the plow truck under the vehicles, they'll show $375,000 there.
And is that a separate sheet?
It's on page 3. 4410-256.
Okay. So you'll see 375,000 there. That's so that we can purchase a third snowplow truck. Like we talked in the last meeting, we're in a situation where we have more roads than we've ever had, and we're getting nothing but more roads on top of that we're gonna be responsible to care for. And it's becoming impossible very quickly to do it with what equipment we have. And so this is the same situation where we have some cash in the bank that we can transfer into the budget in order to pay for the truck, so we're not paying a payment on the truck. So we show that coming into the budget here, so that when we decide to purchase the truck and get the bids and all those things, it'll be in the budget. We can approve that purchase, and then the money would come out of the bank account. That would go down, and then it would show as an expense in the budget.
So look on page 2. 3890. About 5,415 is what we had to pull out of savings to make the budget balance with raising that amount for the trucks.
So wait, say that again?
Does that make sense?
What line?
3890 on page 2.
Yeah,
Beginning fund balance.
Yeah.
So my balance didn't budget.
your budget didn't balance.
Yeah, my balance, yeah.
Right.
So that's just what I pulled out of those funds to make it balance, with doing the extra money.
So that's a major change, and then,
And Sam has a question on fundraiser stuff.
Yeah, I do. I was gonna do that later, but you got to know
It
that
has
now.
to be,
It
yeah,
has to be part of this,
it
okay.
has to be part of this budget, not the last one of this year.
okay, hold on, should we, it's fine, go ahead.
No, as part of the Frontier Base, for my part, I've had a question posed to me to help. They think it might help with the staffing, to get some more volunteers, especially with the school kids, the high schoolers. It was posed to me that the tips, if we had a tip jar, that maybe that money that could be then directed to like the soccer team. I came to Suzanne and we talked about that. She reached out and talked to Brad. Some very gray areas legally, to do that. Brad really wasn't on board. I had a concern that we not singled out, but it was specifically for the soccer team. I didn't want to, as for the city, I didn't want us to get into a problem that we showed favoritism to one team and not the others. So Susan and I, we talked about a couple of options, and the best one we could come up with was if there is
If you do it at a discretionary.
we can do a discretionary
Like we've done
expenditure.
for fair.
Yes.
whatever before.
We can have each sports team, I didn't know if there was the way Suzanne explained it to me with, each individual team then could come to the city and say, hey, look, we want to kind of do a fundraiser. We'll help you with this, but can you help us with some type of,
Right,
payment?
sure.
So I just wanted to make it fair across the board, and I didn't want to put the city in a position to where, if we did it for the baseball team and we didn't do it for the soccer team, we didn't do it for any of the other teams, that it would put us in a bind.
So as I see it then, because I think this is how it was working when we were doing that, like the kids in the fair. We could add a certain dollar amount in the budget.
Right.
Say $5,000, whatever the number may be, that we're willing to use as a donation to whatever.
Sure.
And we don't designate what donation at that time, you just say that's in the budget. And then that would be available on a first come, first serve type of basis, or
whatever event was coming up.
someone could come in and say, hey, we'd really like you to sponsor this
Yes.
club, this group. We as a council could then decide, okay, is this the club or group we want to spend some money on? Or if we have 2 or 3, we could say, okay, do we want to spend money on 2 or 3 different groups and give them each a portion or whatever? We just have to decide how much do we want in the budget for that type of event.
That's correct.
So I need $1,000 in council contributions, and there's $6,000 in council discretionary.
Okay.
Which council discretionary is what your Christmas stuff usually comes out.
Right. So we would have $1,000.
Between the fair,
So we could split up between someone or anyone who ever came. So that's also in here. What line is that?
for page 2, it's 4111540.
Okay.
4111140.
Okay, yep, I see those. Okay, perfect. The other major change then in the budget will be, like we talked about before, additional
Staffing,
staff. For public works. So we only added 1, correct? So the budget would only allow for 1. My hope was to get 2, but we'll start with what we can do right now. At least that will alleviate some of the pressure. And we can look at other options as we get down the road, but that other employee is added in here, at starting at the range we advertised, like
I think I did it 25.
20 to 25. So we added the budgets in there for 25, so that if we hired somebody at the high end of the starting pay scale, we would cover the budget. So that's also included in this tentative budget.
A question to that?
Yeah,
That 20 to 25, have we incorporated rate increase yet for the rate study? Have we looked at that? Is there
I
rate study
I
adjusted
haven't
for
got
that?
anything back from the rate study.
Yeah, so we haven't gotten that
So I
yet.
did it, the 8% you told me.
Yep.
Straight across the board, so if the rate study comes back and someone's more, someone's less, you have 8% straight across the board.
And I think at least that covers
So
it.
you
So
may have
we've
to,
added,
you may not.
we've added an 8% increase for every employee across the board. And that's like that's including COLA, correct?
Mhm.
So that's a merit and a COLA combined,
That's a good,
which is decent.
that's a decent amount.
Some are saying that the rate of inflation and things that we're not even close, but at least it's something we
Yeah,
can
but
get in
we
the
pulled up
budget.
on the computer that one day and there was 4 or 5 of them, that's kind of,
Right. Well, and the thing is as much as I want to be able to, take care of our employees, and I think that's very important, we can only pay what we can afford, and so that 8% I think is good.
Right.
And it's not gonna kill us, and that's important also.
but we're gonna have to raise taxes to add a pool.
Right.
Or if we were to
If we want to
add
add
a fourth employee,
we'll probably have.
then we'd have to do a tax adjustment.
Right, which at some point, when that's being discussed in the survey, as you've seen, there's places to talk about, we want to raise taxes for certain things, and we can look at that. The reality is, maybe something else to consider at some point. I don't know if it's this year or 5 years, but at some point, it may be something I have to consider. If we're gonna add more employees, for sure. So it's something to be thinking about. I'm not proposing a tax increase right now. I'm just saying it's something that we're gonna have to consider at some point in the future. So those are the major changes. Everything else is relatively the same. The other one is the water tank. But that was in both years, so.
Yeah, we really need to show that, because we don't know where, with the water budget, you don't have to.
Right, it's an enterprise fund, and so you don't have
Yeah,
to,
so
it doesn't have to go to zero.
we're not, how much we're gonna get, we had one payment, this month, and then we're not sure how much we're gonna have completed by the end of this month, and then into the next budget year, so. Just like that.
But that money's in the enterprise fund, and it's there to cover the expense, so. Those are the major changes. Any questions, concerns with that before we open the public hearing that's gonna get out of control? All right, I'll open the public hearing on the tentative budget, and since there is no public, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for discussion and or a motion on resolution 2023-05 for the tentative budget for 23-24. I should mention that the wages for public works employees, you probably know this, but just to make sure, is split between streets, parks, and sewer and water. So a certain percentage is paid in each of those funds. In order to cover those.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the tentative budget for the fiscal year 23-24. Is that
Do we need to add?
With the same caveat.
with the same caveat
So
that
with any corrections?
with any corrections coming back from our accountant firm?
Perfect. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right. Roll call vote, that mayor is aye. Councilmember Fryer is not here. Sam?
Aye.
Clayton?
Aye.
And Clint?
Aye.
Right. Thank you. Moving along
Just kind of.
to item number 4B, entry for the Oakley 4th of July parade in order to advertise for Frontier Days. We've traditionally done that. I would like to do that going forward. The only problem is that, in my opinion, it only counts a little bit because I can't participate because I have to participate at my other job. So if you guys are willing, I would love to have something in the Oakley 4th of July parade, but I think that probably should come more from council than from staff. So anyway,
We'll knock in the parade.
Yeah, well, last year.
I don't think it's
I
staff,
second the
I don't think it's
motion.
staff's responsibility.
No, I agree. We were in it last year. I was in, I know Jan, we used his side by side.
Right.
And Brian, I think, was with us, and myself.
Yeah, we usually invite planning.
But certainly we can involve the planning commission.
Yeah. So something like that, you're not thinking like a full-blown float.
No, we
Full
certainly don't want to get
hydrant.
crazy, just something that we could advertise Frontier Days at least.
Sure.
We've got some banners from
Yeah.
last year we could use again.
Oh, you
on the
still
side by
have
side.
the banners we plaster on the side.
Yeah, and we could hand out flyers if you want. I don't know, I can't remember if we ended up doing that. We
We
had them last
had-
year, but I don't
we
think there
had
was time.
The little cards, it was a little difficult to get to
So
those.
probably not doing those again,
Yeah.
because that was hard, but throwing out some treats or something and just having the banner.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm only gonna push so much on this because I can't help, so.
No, I think we should, as City of Francis, have a showing there, because we're the neighbors. And I don't object to that. I don't have fancy of a side by side that you don't have, but I have one 4-seater.
Well, it could be a truck, it can be a trailer, it can be side by side, it can be whatever.
You could reach out to the, Wellers. I know that,
They did a donation with
like,
side by side last year.
canvas and stuff, they do that. And there's that, rental place there in Camas, can't think of the name.
Oh,
Yeah, the new one that opened
You went
up.
to Adventures Road?
But they've
Sponsorship.
donated in the past
Right.
for different things.
Honestly, Valley Kubota's been really good. They might be able, they might donate a tractor, we could pull a little trailer with or something, you know. I mean, there's options, but I guess what I'm asking for tonight is, number one, do we want to do it? And number two, if we do want to do it, is there someone who can kind of,
And it is the 4th of July weekend, right?
yes, it is all.
On 4th of July.
Tuesday this year.
Tuesday.
We're supposed to have this form in by Friday of next week. But, so that should be our goal, but I'm sure that if we get it to them after that, we'll still be included, but. Anyway, so that's the question. Do we want to, and if so, will someone
You might as well decide about
be the
Camas
representative
yesterday.
just as well?
We usually do both of them.
We did both last year.
Since you're talking about it.
You previously engaged with the fire department?
Possible.
Oh, well, then you're not.
Yes, answer that quick,
They haven't
yes.
put out the,
Yeah, you screwed up when you said it's possible.
well, they haven't put out the schedule yet.
Right. Okay,
Okay, so
well,
we're first, we're number one.
that's right, we're in the number one seat, lady. Come on.
Yeah, but, I mean, if I'm available, I'll do it.
Sure, I hear you.
I have no problems with, we've got the truck, we've got a trailer, a flat trailer we can tow. I just have to check with the boss to see if I can help.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I'm not so sure what the wife has planned for the 4th of July weekend.
That's fine.
So,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll be here.
yeah, if I'm
I'll
here,
take that.
yeah.
And I'll work
I'll
on
give you
that.
the phone then.
Okay.
You
I'll
two
work
can
on
work
that
together.
with,
Yeah, Clint, I'll check with Patty and see if we're here. I'll be more than happy to help.
Thank you. That's great. Next item, Stewart Ranch tank, Scott.
All right, couple one get kind of update on the tank, a couple issues. They've got it all excavated, they're working on the floor, they're gonna pour that next week.
What did they pour yesterday?
They poured the pipes that go
Oh, that's right.
under the tank, we encased those in concrete, so they poured those Wednesday. Yeah, yesterday. So that's done. With the concrete pours, they're wanting to get started around 6 o'clock. Our construction, our things is around 7. But one of the issues with the concrete is just the steep slope getting up there. They can't completely fill the concrete trucks. So they want to get started earlier so they get done. I think we're far enough away from the public. There's one house there that we'll talk to her. We talked to her when we were drilling the well and let her know there'll be some noise and things like that. She was okay with it, but with you guys' okay, I kind of wanted to get the okay to do that just to get it going and keep it going, because it's gonna be a pretty big pour when they do the walls and the floor and that, and we get started early, it's gonna help them out, so.
Right.
So.
Personally, I'm good with it as long as it's not, doesn't become an issue. And I know we also talked that you did mention just now is that for a good share of that pour, they're not really moving the truck anyway. They're flying a bucket with a hoe in order to get to the back and stuff. So the truck is
That's not
relatively
like house, you're
still.
backing up and stuff.
It pulls up and they dump into a bucket rather than, back and forth kind of thing. So it should minimize a lot of that noise anyway. But that's my thought, as long as it doesn't become an issue.
Everybody okay with that?
I have no problems.
Okay. Then another issue came up when we designed the tank, my structure engineer designed it to be 10 feet. It was supposed to be 20 feet. So we bid it at 10 feet. When we originally bid it, I thought we got a really good bid because it came out at about $1.54 per gallon. But with it being a 375,000 gallon tank, it's about $3.08 per gallon. That's still $2 to $4 is a pretty good price for concrete tanks. So we've got to get the 750,000 gallons, we've got to add another 10 feet to the tank. So we've got a change order for concrete to still 482,000. And that brings us to $2.18 per gallon, which is cheaper because the bigger your tank you get, then your cost per gallon needs to go down. So we're getting we got a good price for the tank originally. The change order is the cost of concrete is the same. It's just more concrete, more rebar, more formwork and stuff like that. So I've got that to get approved tonight. It's an oversight, I should have caught it. So we caught it before it was built, and so we could get it resolved before anything happened, and they can get everything coming. And it's not really slowing anything down or anything like that.
So it increases the overall, but it decreases the per gallon, per square foot price.
Yeah, we're still, you want the change, it's decreasing the cost per gallon. We're still getting a good price or not. And a lot of contractors, when they see change order, they try to gouge and stuff like that. But they're being really fair and just saying, it's more concrete, bigger forms, more rebar. And like I say, the cost of actually, the cost per gallon has gone down, so.
And the money's there, it's just.
Yeah. The $1.2 million is coming from the Foothill tank that they're supposed to build. And so the other remaining million, because it turns out to be about 2.2 million now instead of 1.7. The million we have from the annexation fees in the water that we can use to do that. So it doesn't, the money's there for it. So that's one of the reasons we've asked for these annexation fees as they come along, is to help us with this kind of stuff.
Right. This is literally the definition of developers paying their way.
So I just need a motion to approve the change order with that. And other than that, any questions on the tank? I've got a lot of calls, people saying, what are we gonna do? It's ugly. It's a buried tank. It is going to be, instead of the hill slope, it's gonna come down, level out, there's gonna be the tank. You're gonna be able to notice that there's a tank, but we'll reseed, revegetate, it's gonna take a few years for the scar to go away, but, over time, it's gonna go back in and not be as noticeable as it is right now. So,
sure.
That's not like we're cutting a road in where you can still see the road cut and stuff like that. You'll be able to see the hatch and a manhole where it's over the valves, but other than that, the rest of the concrete is covered.
When it's all said and done, will there be a road that goes to it, or will that be reclaimed also? Or?
It's gonna be reclaimed. The Stewart Ranch, we're gonna kind of work with them. They've got a trail that kind of goes up that way. We don't need to get up there a whole lot, but we'll kind of work with the trail to make sure that, if we had to get up there,
we can get a piece of equipment.
you can get up there. But it's not like you need to drive the truck up there all the time. Our other tanks in the winter, they walk up there, maybe once we get this new tax increase, we can get a snowmobile or something from the drive. But there's ways to get up there in the winter. It's not that far.
All right. Just to suggest, how much of the reservoir is going to be above grade at the final completion?
It's all gonna be buried.
All.
Yeah, there'll be a foot of topsoil over the top of the tank. So it'll be all covered and all vegetated.
So then I'm kind of at a loss as to why is it ugly? Why are people, it's ugly now under construction?
Yeah, people are afraid, like if you drive over to Heber right now, you can see two concrete tanks sitting on the side of it.
Yes.
And they're gonna be buried eventually. So I think people are just kind of worried that we're gonna leave a big tank that you can see.
Got it. Okay.
But if you go up to the one in Woodland, you have, our concrete tanks we have on this hill, portion of the tank is uncovered, but these new tanks we designed them to be completely covered so they don't get as much freeze froth, because that's not good for concrete.
Sure, agree. Okay,
I mean, we could just leave them exposed so we could, paint hearts and stuff.
Yeah.
well, that's where I was going. Some of, I have seen in certain areas, they actually do a mural paint to blend into the landscapes where you can't. It's green and it blends in, you just can't see them.
I think it's great that it's just be buried.
Oh, no, yeah, no, that's better.
All right, any questions or concerns on the change order?
Yeah.
We gotta approve that or not?
I'll make a motion to we approve the extra needed to complete the reservoir.
Second.
All right. We move and second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, it's unanimous, thank you. Next. Subdivision final plat extensions, this is the Katie deal. Yeah.
Did you say that?
Clayton, sorry.
All right, so our city code says that when a developer gets final plat approval, they have 1 year to record their plat. And there's kind of a discussion for another day here. That has been pretty much impossible for any developer to meet that deadline. We've had extensions pretty much on every subdivision. So it's something I'll look at is changing that to instead of 1 year deadline, 2 years, just to be more reasonable. But anyway, there are some subdivisions that have expired, so to speak. Their approval has expired. We have an expiration because we want to avoid approving a subdivision, like Foothills of Francis Gate, for example. We approved it, sat for 20 years, and now it's finally going in. And I think if it came back to us now, we would probably not do it the same way. So we want to avoid having that situation. So that's why we have set expirations now, so that we don't have that. But it seems like we're a little too stringent. So anyway, we have 4 phases of Stewart Ranches that need an extension. They requested to extend until June 1st of 2024 to record their plats. And then Hart Crossing Phase E has also expired, so they're requesting until October of this year, October 1st, to extend.
Is it phase 7 or phase 11 on Stewart Ranch?
Phase 7. Phase 11 hasn't expired yet.
Okay.
I think that was, we might have to look at that one in August or September, but for now it's okay. So I recommend granting the extensions as requested because infrastructure construction is ongoing. They've been working on it. It's not like it's just sat there doing nothing. And the development agreements for both of these subdivisions obligate the city to approve the subdivision as platted. So I think legally, we'd have to do it anyway. If we don't extend it, they'd have to come back through the subdivision process. And we probably just approve it again because it all needs code. It still needs code. So anyway, I recommend approving it and amending the code in the future to change the expiration timeline from 1 year to 2 years.
But we're not amending the code.
Not today, no, I'm just saying, like, in the future, I'm gonna look at that when I do some code text amendments. But for right now, we'll just work on do the extension so that everybody's in compliance.
Yeah. Well, yeah, okay. Any questions, concerns?
My question would be, why are we having an expiration if basically we're required to extend it anyway?
So that's a great question. The development agreement does obligate it, like it sets obligations for us and for them. And there are expectations that they will meet our code. But I think if this went to like a legal challenge in this case, we would produce. If it went on for longer, was really extended and we weren't working on it, then I think we would have a case to say, no, your plot's expired. Or if we had any major code changes, like if they let their plot expire and then we have major code changes, then it would make sense to just let it expire and then make them to build on the new code.
Is that specific to these projects or any project we ever approved?
Not every project has a development agreement. And actually, the state legislature is really discouraging development agreements, except for in cases where they have special conditions. Probably we'll still see them with some subdivisions, but sometimes I think we'll see less development agreements from now on. But anything with a development agreement, it's, we obligate ourselves and the developer to certain conditions. It makes it a little harder.
Are there any, like, I guess, fees or penalties if they need to get an extension? Is there any benefit in that at all, or?
Not really, it's, I think there was like $100 fee, so it's pretty minimal. There's really not much incentive for them, right, not to, it's good to keep things going once they're approved. In my opinion, it's better to just keep that path moving along so that we don't have a situation like the Hills of Francis Gate or Circle T, because then people don't, they expected something 20 years ago, and then there's a lot that happens over 20 years, and you have something else come in, it just, I think that creates some problems. So I think it's better just to, I even talked to someone today who was concerned about the Francis Commons subdivision that's going up to Scenic Heights. She's like, well, I remember some discussions 2 years ago, but nothing happened, so I just didn't think it got approved. No, it just takes time to go through that process, so I think it's better to keep it fresh.
Well, and yeah,
And
especially
we're not just
if
waiting.
there's still continuing progress, right?
Right.
If this is something where they've stopped working and now they want an extension, it's like, no way.
Yeah,
Because, now we have a problem. But as long as the progress is still being made, it makes sense to just keep that progress going so that we don't, if we don't approve the extension, it's my understanding then that they would have to go through the process again. They'd have to apply for subdivision.
it would.
Have to go through the whole process, which might delay them 6 months. It would probably be approved automatically
Yeah.
because would meet code, but it still delays the progress because they would have to stop working.
Yeah, but what's progress?
Well, getting infrastructure put in, finishing roads, finishing infrastructure.
Okay, so what, I put in like 20 feet of road, that's progress, or like, what are we?
Yeah, I can see it'd be a problem if they clear our visual real estate and then sit there for several years.
And I think that's clearly not progress, you know what I mean? I mean, clearly it's a little bit subjective,
Well, yeah,
Definitely.
but like, I don't know what we can ask them to do. Like, it's, okay, we have an agreement, so this is kind of from what it sounds like, maybe it's not like just a pony show, like, hey, we just kind of have to do it. But what's gonna keep them from doing this again next year? And the next year, and the next year? Oh, we're not selling any houses, so we need an extension. We're not selling any houses, we need an extension. Like, is this just a hole we put ourselves in because of, past policies and things like that? We're kind of stuck with it now. Can we make that better in the future? Or is that just something that we don't have any control over?
Well, I think changing the expiration helps also, but yes, what you're saying is very accurate in that they could potentially keep saying, well, we're not selling houses, so we want to do it again. Well, we're not selling houses, we want to do it again. But in that case, I think like what Katie's saying is that gives us a little more of the ability to say, well, the thing is, we extended it once, you're supposed to meet it, right? That's the second deadline you've missed. Now you're asking for extension and we're going, no.
Well, what worries me about this type of thing is kind of where we're at now, where we have hundreds and hundreds of homes approved, but they're not being built. So when a new developer comes in and says, hey, I want to build this thing, I'm ready to do it tomorrow, and I say no, because I'm not gonna do 1,000 homes when we already have 700 ready to go, but they're not required to actually build, they can just sit on their approval.
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
that's exactly why we put this expiration in. That's exactly why we put it in,
So
because we're
then-
trying to avoid that situation. So there does have to be a point where we say, no, you're done.
But the thing holding us to this is that previous development agreement.
Yeah, we have a development agreement with them. Those two subdivisions, if we let them expire, they would still be code. They could apply tomorrow and we would approve them.
I understand.
Yeah,
I just wanna try and avoid us having, what's giving me heartburn, is having all these homes approved that I don't know where they're at, I don't know what they're gonna look like, I don't know, but I see the number, 700-800 homes approved, and then somebody comes in and says, hey, annex us in so we can build these, I'm like, that's too many. And even though they're not doing their building, I'm not gonna let you do your building just because what happens when all of a sudden, if we get a bull market again for housing, and then there's 1,000 new homes all of a sudden in 2 years, like, that's not gonna be good.
No, and I think that's what the expiration on that will do for us, is at least if nothing else, it allows us the opportunity to review it and say, okay, they're still working, they're still going full bore, putting in pipe, putting in roads, doing things, getting the subdivision built. We get the opportunity to at least review it versus not having that expiration and or extending that expiration too far to the point where they're sitting on their approval, like you're saying, and they're just not doing anything. At least we have the ability within reason to review it and go, yeah, we're not gonna consider this extension because all you've done is grow.
So the big key is we have development agreements with these ones. Like the old church property, we really didn't have a development agreement, it's a small enough subdivision. They came in, got it approved, didn't build it, I think we gave them one extension, then we denied it after that, so they had to kind of start over, and they still haven't done anything. But with development agreements, we're kind of stuck with that until, I think the development agreements go for like 20 years or something like that, so.
but they still have to meet code. So I think
Yeah.
that it would be within our right to say, no, you're not getting an extension. But I think it has to be reasonable where they've really just stopped for a while. And we have to be able to show that there's no progress.
So if somebody, like Francis, Foothills, whatever.
Yeah.
Like was approved for duplexes, but then we made this code change to where, no, you can't do that. And theirs is expired, they come back, that's when we can say, well, major code change, you have to reevaluate the project.
Unless in the development agreement it spells out what code they follow.
Right.
Because that's one thing the legislatures hit us with. They really helped us out. The legislature is really good at helping us out when it comes to subdivisions and development. They
Yeah, help us make sure they can do
It's
it.
Exactly, yeah, so when the subdivision's approved, they have to go by that code. We can't then 5 years later change the code and then make them go back to it. They get the code when they're approved.
If there's a development.
Yes, and so I understand it's frustrating and it's hard, but our hands are kind of tied, especially like the development. If we don't extend these, they can come back and say, okay, we're not going to come start construction. We're going to start the process again, and then we have to go through meetings, public hearings all over again, just basically say, stamp it, say, yeah, let's go. So it's really just saving us time from having to do that.
Sure, I understand.
But
In this
like this one over here, but that one over there, they've got to basically start completely over and build something that meets the zone that's there. And, the new law changes that's coming down the road, it's gonna be, that meets code, there you go, build it, it's not as many approvals as we have now that are gonna be in the future, right?
When does that code take effect?
For us, it takes effect December of 2024.
So, yeah, about a year and a half from now, when someone wants to build a subdivision that meets code, we won't even see it.
No, the city council will not see it at all.
Which is crazy, but that's the law, so.
Yeah, I
That's your
think
state legislature.
if they're doing a zone
Yeah.
change or annexation,
Right.
then you'll see it.
Of course.
But not, and, or if they're doing like a development agreement, you'll be able to see that too.
Right.
But, yeah, I've realized, I've been the planner almost 3 years, that development agreement, we really need to be careful about the development agreements. And that we need to put more time into reviewing those and pay more attention to that. I think that's the most important thing when we have a new development come in. Just this last week with Hidden Meadows, I told the developer there that they still haven't given me an updated development agreement. I said, I need more time to review this. It needs to go to planning commission. I want more eyes on it. And if I don't have it, it's going to be tabled at planning commission. So to me, that is the key for any subdivision that has a development agreement, is spending the time.
And the language needs to be very, very clear.
Very clear, and making sure it is just how the city wants it.
So in this case, it may be different than others, but at least in this case, it helps these people continue their progress rather than restart to get a guaranteed approval more or less. So,
Well, I still see, like, building at Hart Crossing, I don't know about Stewart Ranches, I'm not over there very often, but seems like they have a lot of open space still over there.
yeah, they've got one that's almost complete now. Well, another one.
Yeah, he's getting ready to pave he's wanting to pave that next road next month, so.
But I'm looking at that chart, he's only asking for an extension to 10 of 23. So I had the same concerns that Clayton had expressed, that they're just gonna sit on it, but he's only asking for what? Another couple of months, 4 more months. So he's gonna be done,
He'll be ready to record,
he'll be ready to record.
and that means he can start
Now,
selling
on
lots.
Stewart Ranches, the Ivy Homes now, correct?
Yes.
And they say they're gonna continue, do we have any idea that they're gonna continue with all of the roads and the underground piping and sewer and water during this time? Or are they just gonna, because when you say they're still working on the infrastructure, like you said, is it gonna be 10 feet of road or 20 feet of road? Are they still planning on, or do we have any idea what they're?
When I talked to Rex, he said they're still planning on working on the infrastructure in 5 and 6 and 7. They put a lot of that in last year, and from the city engineer standpoint, having that subdivision sit for a couple of years after they got the utilities in, that's great for us because that gets rid of a lot of settlement issues that might happen or something like that. It's good. It doesn't look good, but some of that stuff is good. They claim that they're going to do some more work this year on those.
Okay.
But that we asked them, and that's what they said they're going to do.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not fighting for this extension. I suppose that if we give them this extension and that work doesn't continue, then they'll be back in here asking for another one, at which time we'll say no. I mean, it does kick us down the road another year.
Yeah.
But we might be kicked down the road another year anyway. I don't know.
Well, like you guys said, if we say no, we have the potential for litigation then. It puts us in a.
Well, I think
They
that
just gotta
one,
start-
talk to the attorney and get his,
If all else fails, they just come back and say, okay, let's get another application fee and start over again. And
reapply.
we're gonna come to meetings, we're gonna have public hearings, and we're gonna see the same plans, we're gonna see the same everything, nothing's gonna change. And it meets our code today, so it meets the code that they're approved under, so it's, I don't know.
So
It's not ideal.
It's really just a formality.
But it's just,
It's,
I think it'd be worst case if you said no.
Well, it becomes more work for us. so we're gonna have to
Yeah, more work.
I think the first extension, that's,
Yeah.
as long as they've done something, the first extension, I think, yeah, we'll give you one.
that's,
More discussion when it comes back to the second one.
that's what I was thinking, if there's some way we can, like, I think I'd like the 2-year, make it more realistic. Whether we got all these issues that can keep progress from moving forward.
Right.
But I think we can all agree that we'll probably, if everything is the same, we'll probably say, yeah, just grant another extension, but if there can be okay, you get one extension, and there's a fee, there's a something impetus to them, for them to want to, like, make it happen.
Yeah, motivated to,
Yeah, I think that's probably important, if we can do that somehow, but.
Yeah.
So it's not just sitting there, 15% done, and because that's a real issue, the citizens seeing this, you know,
Oh, man.
it's like, yeah, we're okay if it's, you know, appealing homes and properties, but when it's 10, 25% done, and since over 2 years, fields of weeds, I think that's an issue that a lot of the residents complain about, and it causes other issues, so if we can, there's something we can do, but I think it's fair, you know.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, changing that either, and I don't really have a problem with these extensions, I just don't want this to be a common occurrence where it's like, well, we're not selling any houses, so we'll just get another extension, we're not selling, I mean, that's not the citizens of this city's problem. Like, you came in, you wanted to build, you wanted to sell, and now you're having a hard time, so everybody gets to suffer, that's just not fair or respectful, and that's something I wanna, if there's a way we can avoid that, great. But I understand on these, it's, you know, I don't really have an issue here, it was just an issue in the future or in a broader.
Makes sense.
I think that, I could do a better job communicating when someone applies for, I think I'll put it on the application, when they apply for a final plat, say, you have 2 years to record the plat, and just make sure that it's very clear from the beginning, that that's the expectation. So if they're not ready to apply for a final plat approval, then they'll just hold off. And there is a timeline between the preliminary and final, but it will just make them think a little bit more about what they're doing.
I don't want to extend this discussion anymore, but I do have one question. What is required in order for them to record the plat? I think that might be helpful information for everyone on the council to know what level of completion is required before they can actually record the plat. Can they sell homes without having the plat recorded? Like, what does that mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's good. So, so they go through the subdivision process here, they get final plat approval. At that point, they usually start installing infrastructure. So they're putting in roads, water and sewer lines, they're putting in all the utilities, and they have to have the ready to be built on, when that lot is recorded. When the plat is recorded, that means that
infrastructure is in,
yeah,
water and sewers in, the road is in, the laterals are stuck into the lot lines are decided, they're surveyed, they're marked,
water's turned in.
water is there.
That's a big one,
Water's
they
in the
have to turn in the
system.
water.
Everything is functional, it's passed all its inspections, it's passed all its tests. The lot is now a lot of record, so to speak.
Yep.
Now it can be platted.
It's ready for someone to come in.
And so once, the second that they plat it, it can then be sold.
Well, there's 2 ways that they can do it. First way, one of the ways is like you described. They come in, they get their plat approved, they go in, they put all the infrastructure in, and then they record the plat.
That's how they mostly do it.
Yeah, the reason they do that is because they cannot sell a lot until that plat's recorded.
Right.
So if they want to record the plat, that puts the city in responsibility that there is a lot that can be sold. Somebody can come buy that. Sam can come buy a lot and say, I've got a lot, where's my water and sewer, what's going on? So if they record the plat, none of that's put in, we make them bond for it, put the money up front. So that we're holding the money, so they put the infrastructure in and they can build, they can sell lots. They can't build anything until they have the water system in and approved and an all-access road, so they have fire access. Then they can start getting a building permit. They can't get occupancy until everything else is done, but they can do it that way, and that's the way that Foothills and Francis Gate is doing it. They came in, record their plats, they can sell lots, but they can't get building permits because they don't have fire protection yet or an all-weather road. So they can sell lots, but they can't get building permits. The other way is if they put it all in, then when they record the plat, we just have to do a warranty bond rather than, because all the infrastructure's in, so they have to do a warranty bond to record the plat. And then, they record the plat, everything's in, and, they can start getting building permits, people can get occupancy permits as soon as they're ready, because all the infrastructure's in, all the public and like the phone, gas, and all that stuff's in too. So.
Right.
So there's really two ways that you can record the plat.
That was very helpful, thank you.
Perfect, thanks. All right, any other discussion on this plat extension? If not, I'll entertain a motion on the subdivision final plat extension as presented.
I'll make a motion that we grant the requested extensions.
I'll second that.
All in favor, Clint?
Aye.
Clayton?
Aye.
Aye. Sam is an aye. Okay. Next item is Frontier Days. We had the Queen contest. Oh crap, I don't have the names.
Ollie,
Olivia
Faulkner is
Faulkner is
the
the
queen.
queen. And then we have the princesses, and I can't remember who they are. The other Faulkner sisters, were of them? I should have brought those names, I apologize about that. Anyway, that's taking place. Those girls are awarded their awards. There's, so they can now be used to help us with different things. There'll be a fair union parade and things like that. Also represent us and Camas for both events. So that's taking place. Everything else is kind of on track. The only thing that we are really lacking in this year is sponsorship so far. We've got some, but we're running right where we were last year. So I will probably have staff send out letters a second time, but if there's people that you have either reached out to and not heard back from, or others that you think, that you can think of, that you could reach out to, we need to really focus on that for the upcoming time.
Do we have a list of people that have sent in sponsorships?
We do, and we can have, just Katie have that, or do you have?
You can get, I'll just come and get it next, well,
Could you email that?
Just email a list
Just email.
out who has sponsored so far.
just people I handed them to, I don't know if they have, they haven't,
Right.
they contacted me, I don't wanna go in and say, hey.
Right.
You know,
Right, and they'll say, yeah, I sent my check 2 months ago.
Yeah,
Or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah, if you'll just send out who has, and then that will give us an idea who we can reach out to. The other thing is, we believe, it's not been awarded yet, but we believe we got the grant for, and Katie will have to verify this, but I think it's 15,000 for advertising and things like that. I think we requested 16, we got 15 from Summit County. That we can use for advertising, so we'll use, the advertising company we used last year to get us some radio ads, some email advertising things. That was 15,000 right for the grant.
Have we ever done like either a survey or study to see how people are hearing about it? Like where that's most affected? I don't even know if that's possible.
It is possible, we've never done that, it would just be something we'd have to kind of see what the cost is, and I don't know. It's not a bad idea at all, because I've wondered that myself. What's the most effective?
Well, that's the thing,
How's
that's-
the best?
The people hear from Oakley Parade and they see it and go, oh yeah, let's come back up on Labor Day. The country music station, like, I'd just be curious to
I
know.
think the advertising of Octogen last year.
It really helped, I think. It appeared to.
Maybe we just ask people at the gate. I think it would be good to ask a couple questions, like one, where are you coming from, or where do you live, and then how did you hear about us?
I wonder if there's a way that we could do that, with a QR code at the gate or something, or kind of all over the place during the event that's, has a couple of those questions, and also, if there's a way we can set it up to where there's some sort of incentive to get on the damn thing.
Well,
Like,
or,
there's door prizes if you're, for a
yeah,
certain number of people that get on the QR code and answer the survey, or something to give an incentive to do that.
I think if you
To
did
gain
a
that information.
giveaway or something like, hey, if you take the sleigh ride and you're at the rodeo, this break or whatever, we're gonna give away this thing.
Right.
So
Something like
take the survey so that you're entered, or the other thing is maybe even if we had volunteers with a clipboard. Just wander around and talk to people, but I know volunteers are in short supply.
Especially during
No,
the
but I
tournaments.
think that's a good point. I think maybe that's the way to do it is.
And I motion council gets all volunteers.
Second that
Is there a second?
I got it.
I got it, I said second that motion.
We didn't vote.
Yeah. You gotta have a quorum, remember?
Staff voted.
Yeah, Luke's not here, so you guys don't have to.
I know you're both with us.
I
I got his proxy vote.
Yeah.
So that's all I have, for Frontier Days. I'll get you guys those names. I apologize. I should have had those for the quiz.
I think Shannon put on Facebook.
I think so too, but I should have had them. I did go to that. We didn't have a ton of contestants, but we had a few, so that's good. It was a good deal. So that's all I've got for Frontier Days. Anyone else got updates, questions, concerns? I'll leave it to you.
I have a couple more vendors that are gonna, I think, basically, I'll get a better list for next time, but I've got 2 more vendors since last meeting.
Oh, good.
And I think if we used, I know we talked to the vendors, there was gonna be no fees for them, right?
Just needed power.
Unless they need power.
Or if
It's
they're a
one
food
time.
vendor, like if they,
Yeah.
they're selling
But
food
I,
out there.
I think since we're offering them that, we can maybe have them have some sort of, where'd you hear about the Frontier Days, use them too, because there's a lot of people who just go and hang out for the day. And
Right.
so that's another thing that I'll look into also.
For sure. Anything else? Okay.
Did we decide on movies? Sorry, I was gone last time.
No, we did not.
We did not. We probably should do that pretty quickly so Brad can get that on range. We had a couple ideas. What was it? What were the ideas?
Seems like we were all gonna make a list of ideas and we kind of said a few, but
Yeah.
I don't think we
That might
came together with the
Well,
master list.
I think we talked about it being
You want
G or PG, like something like that.
Yes, something very family
to, I
oriented.
know you mentioned 300 Clayton. Is that?
Yeah. That's maybe clever, Ryan, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that's,
Making something like living like shoes on list or something. You guys-
I got lots of ideas, but they're movies from the 80s. They're not really.
Yeah, I know, some of those are my favorites.
Oh,
I totally did.
So it definitely needs to be something very family friendly.
Sandlot was great 2 years ago. I know we already used that one. but
Yeah,
that was
just,
perfect.
we definitely, yeah, something like that is what I prefer.
Was the Sandlot anniversary, is it this year? Maybe you could do it as part of the
But
anniversary.
I'll watch the Sandlot every stinking year. I mean, I'm fine with that. That's a great movie, but we can switch it up too.
Yeah,
Maybe we
something
should.
very much like that though is the goal.
Right.
So maybe let's,
But we're not worried about a theme or anything like that. It's
no,
just
I don't
whatever.
think so.
America.
Yeah, America is always the thing with this deal, always. Speaking of which, Clint, I don't know if we talked about it before or not, but we should talk and figure out that patriotic program like we've done in the past, because that's something that we've done for quite some time and it's becoming a tradition, so I'd like to keep that. So I'm not saying that you need to organize it, but we should at least discuss it.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that. I just thought it was so cool that a couple years ago, my little sister sent me like a Facebook video of someone emulating what we did here in like Tennessee. Like the exact same
Yeah,
thing,
so
same
the-
music. It was so cool.
So the year we did the 13 riderless horses with the flags, I got 1 or 2 negative comments that you shouldn't have a flag down and things like, they're not wrong, but like that sucker had a couple million views,
Yeah, it was awesome.
which was, yeah, great. So, I mean, I don't want to have to do something like that because of the situation, but when we do a program that honors America and the veterans, it's very, very well received, and it's important that we continue that.
Okay, so Yeah.
let's visit about that. The other thing is, maybe let's decide on a movie or this for the July council meeting, let's have some movies that we can decide.
Children's.
Yeah, by July, we're definitely gonna want to be getting our posters out, so we need to
Yeah,
know.
we wanna know by the July meeting what that
Well,
movie's gonna be. Or we can
do we
decide.
have to vote on it, or can we just email in suggestions and we'll go, yeah, that's the one?
No, we can absolutely. do
All
that.
right, so yeah, if we have ideas, just email them to.
No, I don't think it needs to be like an official motion.
All right. I'll ask my kids if they have any ideas.
There you go. All right, anything else on Frontier Days? Okay. We'll go to the next thing, council reports.
Okay, I'm gonna hammer this again.
Don't do it.
I'm going to. The EMS study. Like, I'm going over there every week, and it's always a topic of conversation. It does concern me. They do talk about, we want input of the mayors. I don't know if they want input of councils, but they have said mayors. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts other than me, just because I'm kind of involved with it.
Yep.
But I have almost zero interest in allowing Summit County or Park City to run our EMS. And there's quite a few suggestions that include that possibility.
Noted.
So, I asked a couple people if they'd come and do a public comment about it tonight, just so people understand it's more than just me that are worried about it, but you can see how well that worked. So,
Well, let's visit because, it'll be a topic that I've been talking with people about it some. It's come up at the COG. We were presented, the last COG meeting, we were presented with the, preliminary report. They did the final report last Wednesday, I think, at a council meeting, at county council meeting. And I got tied up and wasn't able to make it, so I don't know exactly. But I can tell you that the last message I received was that the leaning seems to be to have it controlled and operated under South Summit Fire District.
right, because right now, and this is not well understood in the community, the fire department and EMS are completely separate
Right.
entities. The fire department only assists EMS when they ask for
Right.
assistance. And a lot of people think it's the fire department that's showing up or not showing up in the ambulance, and that's causing some problems.
Right. It's not. that.
It's
That is
not.
the case.
And the fire department does not have the budget to run EMS as currently funded.
Right, it would require a tax increase, but it also pretty much doesn't matter what. It pretty much doesn't matter which decision they make, it's gonna require a tax increase.
Some counties either gonna raise the taxes or it's not.
Right, one or the other, somebody is going to raise taxes in order to pay for it, that,
But currently, we have one ambulance that's stationed here in Camas. And so if that goes out, or if there's a big accident in North Summit and they call all the ambulances, we got nothing.
Right.
Nothing here.
we have mutual aid agreements, but it doesn't move anybody up here, is the problem. That's,
I mean, Park City, if they are available, they'll send a guy in, to rotate in while that ambulance is gone. But if it's a big enough emergency, we're not
right
gonna have.
now, it is not a great system,
No, we're not gonna have it.
it's not a great system.
So I'm just concerned. Like, I know I keep nailing it and I keep hearing the final decision is gonna be the 27th of June. That's up in the air, who knows?
So I share your concern. I've been as involved as I can be in that process, so.
Okay.
I share your concern. We're, at least it sounds like, without going into too much detail right now, on the same page.
Okay.
So good. Any other council, anything else, please?
No, that's it for me.
Any other council reports? All right, Katie.
Okay. So first, next week we have another open house. Hopefully you all got the letter. It's gonna be on parks, and specifically, like, the main thing we'll be talking about is the Wild Willow Park. So please come support it, and come to the open house if you can make it, and come see what's being planned.
That's also 6 o'clock?
Also at 6 o'clock, an hour before planning commission.
So So that's next Thursday,
Yeah, exactly like 1 week later.
1 week from today at 6 o'clock.
Yep, same thing we did today, but it'll be on parks instead of the new building.
Same thing, only different.
And that bike park is basically a big focus of that?
Yeah.
Okay, because I got a guy at work who really wants to know about it every time I see him.
Tell them to come.
I'm gonna tell him to come.
Get your butt here, yeah.
Tell them to come. And, anyway, I think we'll probably, my speculation is we'll have more people coming to that, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Probably.
From a neighborhood.
From the neighborhood, hopefully,
Probably not all good either.
There's a couple houses for selling that circle, you know, maybe.
I wish, I mean, honestly, I wish that we'd fill the place every time we have it right now.
Yeah.
But we don't, so,
yeah, it's good to get the feedback.
for sure.
Yeah, anyway, so that's coming up next week. And then I went through the survey responses from tonight. So the first question is, what do you like most about the new city hall design? I like it, classic modern look, frontier mountain look.
Okay. One of each?
Just
Yeah,
together.
Pretty much.
I don't know. What a great space for Francis as it grows into a vibrant community. Congratulations. I really like option number 1, mountain modern look. Public space, nice looking building, workable for staff and public, plan for future expansion. Council chambers, it looks like it belongs here. Okay, the next question was, if you could change one thing about this new city hall design, what would you change? Nothing comes to mind. NA, get it built.
Yesterday.
You know, plans for solar panels, why not? Make the council room bigger for events.
And just on that, I think we talked to him about, we're not planning on installing solar panels right now. It's gonna be in the design that it can be added.
I didn't realize that. Okay. Eliminate option number 2, looks very 80s. Nothing, looks good. It needs a sign that says Francis City with a crest. It doesn't need a
It
sign.
will have that.
Well, that's.
It'll have a sign.
So real quick,
Yeah.
as just kind of a response to that one comment about larger space for events, we can change this if everyone feels strongly about it, but my feeling was, and my direction on this deal was, I want that building to be for meetings, the council chambers for meetings, not events specifically. We can use this building for events, and in the future, if we need to expand, we can make a bigger building for events. But I want to maintain that building as a professional meeting space, city hall, not an event center.
Yeah, we talked about letting the community groups use it for meetings, things like that.
So,
potentially.
you know, professional, like business type meetings or community groups, I'm okay with meetings, but not parties and events.
No glitter.
That's my direction. If someone feels strongly otherwise, we can certainly entertain that, but that was my direction.
On the plan, there's gonna be a divider that can come out and separate the chambers from where the chairs are, so if somebody wants to have a meeting or get together, that they can kind of separate that, so we can keep the council chambers separate.
Right.
I'm agreeing with you about keeping that as a professional.
Yeah, no events, no parties there.
Yeah.
We have this facility, we have the other snack shack, if it's a smaller venue, we have other options for that.
That was my feeling exactly.
Well, like you say, if there's big enough demand, we can build our own opening bar or something. like
Right,
that.
exactly.
Okay, the last question was, for the roof, do you prefer option 1 or option 2? We had 12 people vote on that. We had 10 for option 1 and 2 for option 2. So I think it was confusing because of the view on this one, but that was actually option 1. No, option 2.
Yeah, what's being shown in the big posters is actually option 2.
Yeah, so, I don't know, one thought I had is, I don't want to put us back, but I would like to see the 3D in option 1.
Because this changes option 2 for me a lot.
It did me too, because I didn't like the flat rendering, but
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I do too.
I do too. That was, my first choice was that roof line right there.
Well, I think, I don't know if you can picture it in your mind, but the difference between the two is basically, it's gonna look the exact same in the front, except for one roof's
This
gonna be a little
one.
higher,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be lower. You know, it's still gonna have the same pop outs.
This one will just be like a little bit lower, this lower one.
I mean,
From what I
honestly,
can tell.
so,
Yeah, I don't know.
so for me, that looks great, and that,
Do you guys want to see this again?
may solve a little bit of a cost issue. I mean, it's not gonna be a great cost difference, but this will add probably some cost, because you'll have that, where that wall stands up on the shirt.
Just a little
And
bit,
have
yeah.
sidings and things there you wouldn't have in that style.
Yeah, I would just like to see, if it costs a lot to see it, I wouldn't want to do it, but I just would like to see the 3D rendering with both options. I thought that's what they were going to bring in tonight, so.
Well, I'll talk to them, see if I can do something, because I think it's.
I don't know, but then at
It
the same
can't be
time,
expensive to
No, it's-
throw that model.
I was talking to them about it, they've already got the other option done, so I think they
So-
could easily make that.
So now do you think it was confusing for the folks that were here? That they're really thinking that's one?
I think so.
I was confused about it. I think it is
And then
confusing.
this was option 1 here, there's actually 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it
That's-
could be.
That's kind of the way I'm leaning.
I was talking to, I can't remember her name on the planning commission, and she was
Kim?
looking at option, looking at option 2, she says, that's just ugly, that just looks like a barn. And then we walked over and looked at this, and she's like, oh, I love this. I said, well, that's that.
That is that.
And she's
It makes
like,
a big
"Oh, it
difference."
Makes a big difference. And she, you
Right.
know, she liked that better when she saw this.
Okay, and also Justin, the same thing. We were having the same discussion, he's like, well, I really like that. But I think I voted for this one.
Yeah, I think that's
But when,
confusing.
I think on my survey, I voted for this one, but when it comes time for this planning commission to approve it, I'm gonna vote for that one. So, he
Yeah.
had already put his survey in, but, so I think that might be the issue, is that they were confused, so that's actually option 2, but,
Yes.
so for me personally, that's great.
So, and just to talk about the process of approval, the planning commission, our code says that the planning commission actually approves the site plan, which includes the architectural renderings. And it doesn't even go to council. But I do think it's important for you all to have a big say in this. Just what our code says is that the planning commission does approve it. So I kind of almost want to do a reverse recommendation where we tell the planning commission, this is what the city council is recommending.
Yeah, I think we can do.
Just so they know what your input is, and, you know, that is on the agenda for planning commission next week. And I think it's good for us to be able to move forward, but I don't want to push it too much and not make an informed decision either.
Well, so what would we need to do then? See the 3D rendering of option 1.
Maybe we could get it, we could
We
put it in a
get
Dropbox, you guys can individually let me know what you think.
That would work.
And then I can, you know, we'll bring it to planning commission too, and hopefully have both.
Right, and I mean, my goal is not to delay unnecessarily, but if we had to, we could delay them up, I just don't want to. I mean,
There is a
I
chance
don't
we
wanna
might not
do that.
even have planning commission next week, because one of our planning
You'll only
commissioners,
have
I
the
think,
opening
might
at the
be
open
having some medical issues and out of town. The other one is gonna be in Germany, so that leaves us 3. One will be here, and I haven't heard from the other 2 yet, so I'm trying to find out right now if we're gonna have a meeting.
So you're thinking you'll only have the open house possibly?
Potentially, if we can have a meeting, we'll have a meeting,
Huh?
because we have things to go over.
This is that drawing.
You can pass those other ones down too.
Yeah, I was confused too. I thought,
This one.
I was confused, and I've been looking at these for
So
months.
this is that.
yeah, I like this. And I thought,
This,
No,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, I like option two.
hold on. No, I'm confused.
I know.
So this is not that.
Oh,
Yeah, so this
well then forget
is
that.
that, is that correct?
This is that.
Okay, because I thought,
Just from the angle, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, that angle kind of makes it look like
Yeah.
it's option one.
I like the barn look, honestly.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
it looked
See, I thought
really
it was
classy, and I was like, it looks more Park City than I thought, but. So interesting.
Okay. That looks good. I like that.
Later, well, let me know, what do you guys think, how do you wanna do this?
It's dead wrong.
So, I mean, I'm good personally with, you get the 3D rendering, we get it out to everyone, and everyone individually say what you prefer. Also, I mean, there's nothing that says that we necessarily that says we have to approve one of these two options. We could have something else done, it's just gonna cost more money and time. But it's better to do it right than not, so if ultimately, if everyone on council hates one of these two completely, we could redesign. I don't want to, but we could if we had. So I'm good with sending out the 3D rendering of the other option, let everybody look at it, send it out and decide if we like it. If not, we can consider something different if we need to.
I think we had some good feedback, and we didn't have a ton of people here, I wish we had more, but I didn't hear one negative thing.
I agree. So I mean, of the two, I prefer that, so that's my.
This guy did it, right? This one?
No, that.
See? That's all.
We need to get the 3D and then compare those two, because this changes.
It does for sure.
I just feel like this
Angle grove, flat.
gives me PTSD from that abomination on the foothill.
Or the one over there by your
Right
house.
across from Charlie's house, that I just do not like.
That is in the model.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get the 3D rendering of the other option. Everybody can look at it. We can then decide if we like one of those two options, and if not, we can change our minds. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. All right, so that's the deal. Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Scott?
I really don't have anything else other than the tank. Any questions?
I had something I was gonna bring up. What the heck was it? We were just talking about it in the office. I was gonna bring up during mayor reports. What the heck was
It was, you told me, a couple days ago though. Yeah, I really.
it? No, literally just before we walked over
Yeah,
here.
we should put that on the agenda, it's like too late, mayor reports.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a long day.
I'll remember as soon as we end the meeting.
Frontier Days, maybe, I'm trying to remember.
Golly. Oh, well, I guess I'll come up with it later. I don't have anything. I'll take the most important motion tonight.
A motion we adjourn.
Second.
Oh, you can second it.
I don't, go ahead, Sam got it.
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Anyone opposed?
Nay.